to the next segment, the most contentious of them all.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5.
Top 5, top 5,
Dancing.
top 5, top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5. This one,
Top 5.
it gets the most views, or on some of our videos that we take from this episode. It gets some of the most views, and people love power rankings. We love power rankings. People love searching for power rankings on YouTube. You love reading about power rankings. We do our top 5. We may or may not do our bottom 5, depending on how we want to do this. But let's get into our top 5 right now. I've got, just to give you guys a little tease here, I've got 2 teams entering the top 5 that I didn't have last week, and I've got obviously 2 teams leaving the top 5 that I had on last week. But I'll go first, and this one was the hardest one for me. At number 5, Kyle, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5 right now. They are impressive. Trevor Lawrence and this Jacksonville offense is doing Duval, you heard it right. Right now, Jaguars are number 5 in the power rankings. They started off 1-2, and now they are, what is it? 1-2. They're 5.
They're on the longest win streak in the NFL right now.
That's true. They are 5-2 right now, or 4-2. Is it 5-2? 5-2.
So they won 5 in a row.
Yep. So I am taking the Jaguars at number 5. Kyle, who's your number 5?
I still got the Browns at number 5. I understand that it's not a popular pick at this point in the season, but like winning a football game by scoring almost 40 points, 39 points, like to me, that's the kind of resilience that a top 5 team needs to have. Like you didn't even have Deshaun Watson. Like to me, if there's one thing that I think is keeping my opinion dumb on the outside looking in, it's that people don't understand how good I think Deshaun Watson is capable of playing this year when they get their shit together. Like I actually would bump them down to put Jacksonville there, but it just doesn't make sense because they didn't lose, So it's like definitely like there's a fringe top 5 area going on right now, and there's a lot of like the Ravens, the Jaguars, the Browns, even the Steelers are moving their way into the top 15, closer to the top 10. So there's a lot to love right now. There's a lot of options. I'm going to stick with my pick with the Browns. They're 4-2. They haven't had Deshaun Watson for a couple games, yet this team continues to win. Defensively, played their worst game of the season. I expect that to tighten back up and them to bounce back at home next week in a big way.
I still don't love the pick, but you got to go with it. You got to keep going with it. All right. And Kyle had a bunch of good reasons to why to put the Browns there. All right, my number 4 team, a team that was on my top 5 earlier this year, but has re-entered. I've got the Baltimore Ravens at number 4. The Baltimore Ravens at number 4, they kicked the absolute dog shit out of the Detroit Lions 38-6. They moved to 5-2, number 1 in the AFC North. Lamar's playing like a madman. The offense is clicking. The offense has wide receivers. Lamar has options. He stayed in the pocket for like 10 seconds at one play and was like, I'm a passer first. Bam, completed it. Got close to a touchdown. Like that's what you want Lamar right now, right? And that's what I'm looking for Justin Fields to fucking do. Anyway, the defense is good. Getting to the dominant status, maybe. I don't think they're a top 5 defense, but as a team, I think they're top 5. I got Ravens at number 4.
Yeah, I don't got a problem with that. Actually, this is going to be weird. I got the Lions at number 4.
Okay.
And the reason is because I really do, because I watched that game, right? Because I really was cheering for the Lions in that game. Like the Ravens had the best game of the season against the Lions, and it shows that they can. Oh, what are they really capable of? Because next week they're playing the Cardinals, so that's another good win, and then a winnable game against the Seahawks. Then they got the Browns. We'll see how this shakes up in the next couple of weeks. But for the Lions, they got a bounce back game as well. They're playing the Raiders on Monday night. I think that this is a good opportunity for the Lions to, I'm not worried about the Lions because we've already seen the Lions start seasons 0-7 and finish with a winning record or one game shy of a winning record. This is look, they got down early. They couldn't really, kick the field goals. They didn't have the luxury of that. I think the score is a little more spread out than the box score would suggest. And I still think the Lions, are one just ass whooping away against the Raiders for everybody to be like, oh, the Lions are good again. They weren't bad. They had a bad day. It was a bad day at the office. When I look at the Ravens, the team that beat them, the Ravens lost to the Colts in week 3. Right? The Browns just beat the Colts. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But they also lost week 5 to the Steelers.
Yeah.
And, it's just when I look at it, it's like the Ravens, if they can do what they did on Sunday next week, now I have to move them into my top 5. But right now, it's a great win. They're on my radar, but I'm going to keep the Lions in my top 5 for now because they've been more consistent. They beat the Chiefs week 1, so I'm just going to see how that plays out.
All right. Love it. And for anybody watching on YouTube right now, in the comments, let us know who your top 5 NFL teams are after week 7. Number 3 for myself. They took a bad loss on Monday Night Football, and they took a tumble, but they're still in the top 5. Kyle and I said it. We would still pick them to win games. The San Francisco 49ers, dude, they took that loss. It's got to be one of those where you look at that and you're like, okay, they're still 5-1 or they're 5-2 now. They still have a dominant defense. They still have a very good offense. They've got plenty of playmakers on that offense. They've got plenty of playmakers on the defense. This team isn't going to be a Monday night loss for the rest of the season. They're not. We can point out to who they've played, who they've lost to, who they've won against, all that. But it's just so much talent. Great coaching, Kyle Shanahan. They've been to the playoffs with lesser quarterback play and lesser overall offensive play. So the 49ers are my number 3 team. Kyle, who do you have at number 3?
At number 3, I hate to agree with you, but I have the 49ers as well. They got a tumble. They lost 2 games in a row. The Vikings aren't necessarily a team that's like, oh, of course they lost. It was a week of the best teams in the NFL getting beat, right? That doesn't mean I'm going to flip everything upside down, but the 49ers I had at number 1 with you. They don't look right now like the best team in the NFL. Power rankings, they change. I didn't really expect the 49ers, though, to move from number 1 at any point in the season. And it is surprising, but there's worse places to be than number 3, on the top 5. So Bears. I think 49ers, the Bears. So I think, look, when it comes to the top 3, we're gonna have the same top 3. But when it comes to it, you might see some movement based on what happens week to week. But I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers 5 weeks from now are back at number 1. So
I agree. Number 2 for me, and we might have the same number 2. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, okay.
Kansas City Chiefs at number 2, 424 yards for Mahomes, 12 catches to Kelsey and a touchdown. Taylor Swift is at their games. Like, dude, they're week 7. It was their little cherry on top to be like, we're back, bitches. That's how it is right now in Kansas City. That's what I think is going to be like for Kansas City. Again, we talked about it earlier. If Mahomes and this team can get back to the Super Bowl this year, which they're very capable of doing, and they can win it, they're a fucking dynasty. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. That's what it is. And right now the Chiefs are at number 2.
Yeah, I love that pick. Right now, I actually have the Philadelphia Eagles at number 2.
Ooh.
I think the Eagles and the Chiefs, right? Those are the two teams that it's kind of coming down to, no secret. But when I look at I'll save that for number 1. For the Eagles, I just think they're a very good team, and there's just, whether you're at 1 or 2, it's the same shit, man. It's the 2 best teams in the NFL at this point, and the Eagles have so much talent on that team. I do think they should win the Super Bowl this year. I am fully bought in to the Eagles and thinking that they can ultimately be the best team in the NFL. But there's something else going on with another team, and it's too late into the season to ignore the consistency we're seeing from a different side of the ball here on my number 1 team.
100%. And that's something that I think I forgot to add as well for my number 2, but my number 1 is actually the Eagles too. They proved that they are exactly the same team, not exactly the same team, but they're basically the same team from last year. You mentioned it on our predictions episode. They lost their coordinators. Those are huge pieces to this puzzle that is the Philadelphia Eagles, but they're still like producing. They're still beating teams. They haven't beat amazing teams. Their loss came against the Jets, who have a very good defense, and they have had for the last 2 years. They've got wins against the Commanders, the Rams, the Bucks, the Vikings, and the Patriots. That's their wins. But the way they've been doing it has been the same from the Eagles last year. And their defense is just as good. Jalen Carter is a fucking menace at defensive tackle. And you gave some stats about how he's got pressure or his winning rate at the line, whatever it may be. This Eagles team, along with the tush push, number 1 in the NFL for me right now.
Yeah. that play, by the way, completely unstoppable. Completely unstoppable. And that's like, you see other teams trying it and failing, and it's like, oh, well, we don't have to get rid of this rule because if you're an Eagles fan, you love that because there's been a lot of threats about, hey, what if they take this away from us? Well, you're starting to see other teams try it with not the same success. I mentioned it's because he gets so low in his stance, he gets leverage. My number 1 team in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is a lot for Kyle to say this. This is a lot for Kyle to say this. I want you guys to know this.
We quietly let general manager Brett Veach build a defense around Patrick Mahomes. Quietly. When you look up who is nominated or what are the odds for Defensive Player of the Year, you won't find a single Chief in there because there's not one player that's doing all the work. Collectively as a team, the Kansas City Chiefs are playing amazing right now. And this is the thing, especially something you don't want to hear if you're an AFC West fan. The defense is just getting started right now. The average age of their defenders on snap-weighted basis is 25.4 years old, which makes them the youngest defense in football. So
amazing.
While on Sunday it was, Patrick Mahomes reigning MVP's best game of the season, Kansas City's winning football games as much with its defense this year than it has ever. So when I look at Kansas City and I say they have the best quarterback in the world ever, and now they have a defense, we've never even been in this situation. It's always been Mahomes is so good, he can compensate for a 22 ranked passing defense, right? Their defense was never dog shit. But their defense is now the number 2 defense in the NFL in a lot of categories, and they're the youngest in the NFL. And it kind of feels like that was the one thing we couldn't let happen, and we all let it happen quietly and slowly. The Kansas City Chiefs, they got to be a Super Bowl favorite at this point because of the recipe. If anyone can beat them, it's Philadelphia Eagles. And that's why I got them at number 2. But right now, Kansas City, best team in the NFL.
Kyle, are we about to see a rematch of last year's Super Bowl this year?
Probably.
Oh shit!
It's looking a lot like it, and I think if we do get a rematch, I'm taking the Eagles.
I'm calling my shot now. We are going to see a Chiefs-Eagles rematch
right
in this year's
now?
Super Bowl. Right fucking now.
Take an L on Monday night.
That's who I am. I'm me.
No 49ers Chiefs rematch. That would be a rematch too.
That would be a good one. That
was Mahomes' first Super Bowl. Was against the Niners.
Wait, was it?
Yeah. It was he beat the 49ers, then he lost against Tampa, and then he beat beat the Eagles. No. Then they lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship. And the Bengals played the Rams.
Yeah.
And then last year he won the Super Bowl again. I mean, we're going to lose track of this eventually.
Yep.
But
eventually we will.
Mahomes is going to be in the Super Bowl, it seems like, every year. And why not? Because what's really interesting is, like, with everything going on, the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, the Phillies, in the playoffs, it just seems like they're in a really, really good place right now. Like, it seems like, when you just have a good couple years of your life where you look back and you're like, man, that was the best years of my life. I really do think right now for Travis Kelce, for Patrick Mahomes, the way the Chiefs are, the Taylor Swift stuff, I really just feel like they have that thing that they're playing with magic. It's not getting to their heads. They're able to stay poised. Like Travis Kelce, he's got so much going on in his personal life, and he continues to be, the best wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, whatever, in the NFL. It just kind of feels like they're, I don't know if they did some voodoo or something, but it just seems like they got the football gods on their side.
Yep. I 100% agree. And let us know if you agree with our top five, and let us know in the comments who your top 5 teams in the NFL are right now.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.